Hello guys, this is Adit. Welcome to my channel Movement Science, where I simplify biomechanics with Joe. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. Also check me out on Instagram, where I post pictures of my notes and also put out some daily MCQs. The reference time for all the topics that I'm going to cover will be mentioned down in the description, so check that out and let's get started. In this video, we are going to talk about the cervical spine muscles. Okay, so till now we had covered all the kinematics and kinetics, and under kinetics I said that the internal forces that are created by muscles I will be discussing in the muscular part of the series. So that is the cervical spine muscles. So this video will be about the posterior muscles. Okay, so starting with the function of the muscles in the cervical spine, their main function is to hold the head upright and stabilize the cervical spine, right? Because there are a lot of sensory organs in your head, like your eyes, ears, so they need to be in the same level. Your eyes need to be in same level, and all the sensory functions need to be carried out properly. And for this, maintaining your head optimally in the right position is very important, and this function is given to the cervical muscles. Now, before we start with the main topic, let's cover some basics. The simple thing that I want you guys to remember is, which we also saw in ankle and other joints, that wherever the muscle is, the movement will be always on that side. So basically the movement depends on the attachment of the muscle. So now the muscle is on the posterior side, so it will create extension. The movement will be in the same direction. Then if it's on the lateral side, okay, lateral side, when it contracts, it will create lateral flexion, correct? Lateral flexion on the same side. And then again, if it's in the anterior side, so anterior side over here, when it contracts, it will create flexion movement, right? So that will be the basic rule that we'll be seeing, but there will be some exceptions, like there will be contralateral rotation depending upon the muscle activation, unilateral or bilateral. So we will see that as we start covering more and more topics. Okay, so now let's go ahead with naming all the muscles. And these muscles are mentioned from superficial to deep, okay? And there will be a lot of muscles, so don't get intimidated. Just sit back, relax, have a coffee, and just let me do the work. And just pay close attention to whatever I say. So starting, there is the trapezius muscle. We all know trapezius muscle, so we won't count that as remembering it. Then the levator scapulae, fairly familiar to us. The levator scapulae, which is present in the posterior aspect. Then comes the slightly deeper muscles, which we haven't heard that often. That is splenius capitis and cervicis, semispinalis capitis and cervicis, and then longissimus capitis and longissimus cervicis. So basically you just need to know these names, and then capitis and cervicis in front of their names, okay? And then if you go even more deeper, there is the suboccipital, that is just below the occiput. There is the rectus capitis, major, minor, inferior oblique and superior oblique, right? So these are the muscles that we have in the posterior aspect of the cervical spine. So starting with the trapezius, it is the most superficial posterior muscle, okay? And what is its action? So basically all the muscles will be divided into where they are located, that is the anatomy and attachment, but I won't be talking about attachment in detail. Then the action and maybe some mechanics related to it. So the action of trapezius is, when it acts unilaterally, it will do ipsilateral lateral flexion and contralateral rotation. So if we take Joe over here, this would be his trapezius on one side, right? And what will it do? It will cause lateral flexion. Joe can't do lateral flexion on the same side, whereas contralateral rotation on the opposite side when it acts unilaterally. And when it acts bilaterally, it's pulling your head into extension, correct? Extension is the backward movement. So when the trapezius will be acting bilaterally, it will create extension. Going on to the next muscle, the levator scapulae. It will start from the fourth cervical vertebra in that region, and it will go on to the scapula and attach to the scapula. So it has a very large cross-sectional area, and its function will be ipsilateral lateral flexion and rotation. So your levator scapula will start somewhere from here and then go and attach to your body of the scapula, right? The medial border. So the action of levator scapula will be similar to your trapezius, but over here the lateral flexion and the rotation both will be on the same side wherever it is attached, like whichever side is activating. Apart from this, its main function will be the posterior shear force. It creates a posterior shear force, and this posterior shear force, it counteracts the anterior shear force. Okay, this anterior shear force is created by your gravity and the lordosis that is present in the cervical spine. So if you can see, this pink part over here is the anterior shear force that is created by the gravity. This gravity is acting directly downward, and when you resolve the vectors, this is the anterior shear force. If you are not clear with the concept of vectors, you can check out my video on that too. I made a video on that. So this is the anterior shear force of the gravity, which is countered by your posterior shear force that is created by your levator scapulae. Now in forward head posture, what happens is there is increased lordosis, which will lead to increased overactive levator scapulae. Now when they are overactive and painful, you don't want to stretch them. You rather strengthen them, because if you stretch them, they will hamper its ability to generate the force, that is the posterior shear force it is producing. It will hamper its ability, the stretching, and this will lead to more increased excessive anterior shear force, which will lead to again overactivation of the levator scapulae and painful levator scapulae. So what happens in your forward head posture is there will be increased cervical lordosis, right? And there will be increased anterior shear forces on your spine, the cervical spine. So your levator scapulae, which comes like this from the cervical region and goes and attaches to your scapula, what it does is it creates a posterior shear force, right? So this posterior shear force counteracts your anterior shear force that is present, the excessive anterior shear force that is present in your forward head posture. Now, because of this excessive anterior shear force, your levator scapulae will have to work much more harder to create that posterior shear force. This will lead to overactivity of your levator scapulae, and this can lead to painful tenderness in the levator scapulae region. Now, at this point, you don't always have to stretch out the muscle. That might not be the best thing you want to do, because what will happen is when you stretch out this muscle, it will hamper its ability to create the posterior shear force that it was creating, and this will again lead to increased anterior shear forces, because your levator scapulae now is inefficient at doing what it already does, that is creating a posterior shear force. So this, if you see, it will lead to a cycle where once you stretch it out, you will get some amount of pain relief, some local relief, but at the same time it will be inefficient, which will increase the anterior shear force, which will make it more overactive later to create that posterior shear force, which it is not able to create that effectively. So now that the concept of levator scapulae is clear, let's move ahead and look at the suboccipital muscles. Now, basically what you need to know about these muscles is they are very small, okay, very small. They have more of a proprioceptive function and fine tuning of the muscles rather than generating large amount of forces, because they are very small, okay. They have other functions like ipsilateral rotation and lateral flexion, but that is not that important. You can ignore those. Main thing is it has more of a fine tuning movement function in your cervical spine, basically near your occiput. So till now we have covered the superficial muscles, the trapezius, the levator scapulae, which are more superficial, and then we also covered the very deep muscle in the suboccipital region. Now we'll cover some of the other muscles, that is which come under the group of capitis and cervicis, okay, all these three muscles. And these muscles, some of them are pretty deep and some of them are comparatively more superficial. As we go down, they keep getting deeper and deeper, okay. Okay, so before we start with these three muscles, I want you to get familiar with this concept. So another basic principle that you need to understand is, more superficial the muscle is. So if you take the muscle, if it's more superficial from the occiput, if it's coming down, something like a trapezius or levator scapulae, it's very superficial, right? So what it does is, if it's more superficial, if you can see, it has a larger momentum. That is the distance from the muscle to your spine. This distance is way more. Can you see the gap over here? So this will, what it will do is, it will create more of movement at the spine because it has a larger momentum. Whereas if the muscle is too deep, if it is close to the spine, it will create more of a stability effect or a compressive effect, because the moment arm over here is very less now. So this is a superficial compared to a deep muscle. So basically superficial creates more of a movement, whereas a deep muscle, if you see, these are the two vertebrae over here, right? Cervical spine. What it will do, it will create a more of a compressive force, because the muscle is present very close to the cervical bodies, right? So splenius capitis and cervicis is a large, flat and deeper muscle compared to levator scapulae, okay? And it starts from C1, C2, C3 transverse process, the nuchal line and the mastoid, so somewhere from here, and then it goes to spinous process of T1, T2 till T6, okay? So because they are not too deep, they are the prime movers of the head and neck because of their larger movement arm. So if you can see, this is the movement arm. It is so much away from your cervical spine, right? So it has a pretty good movement arm. Hence they create movement at the cervical spine. And what movement do they create? Because they are on the posterior side, they create extension bilaterally and also ipsilateral rotation unilaterally. Next, going on to semispinalis, capitis and cervicis, they have really good optimal line of pull. The line of pull of these muscles is really good because it is pretty high. The moment arm is pretty high, but at the same time, it's not too big that it is just a prime mover, right? So what I mean by this is it has the function of moving as well as stability. So first, let's look at the attachment of these muscles. So the capitis will be attached from the occiput to your cervical spinous process, whereas the cervicis will be attached from your thoracic spinous process to your lower cervical spine, okay? So one will come from top to bottom and the other one from bottom to top. And the function will be extension and then also creating the cervical lordosis, okay? So extension will be the movement part of it and creating cervical lordosis will be the giving stability part. So basically the function of semispinalis, capitis and cervicis can be compared to function of your multifidus. Now multifidus, if you know, they are the muscles present in the lumbar spine and they create the lordosis in the lumbar spine and give it the stability in the near the facet region, right? So this muscle, that is the semispinalis, it has a very similar function, that its moment arm and the line of pull is so optimal that it can create the extension movement at the cervical spine and at the same time create the cervical lordosis to provide the stability, right? Another important thing about these muscles, that is semispinalis, capitis and cervicis, is there are the greater occipital nerve which pierce this region. And if there is any entrapment of the nerves in this region, this can lead to cervicogenic headache, okay? So that is something you need to keep in mind. And then finally, going on to the longissimus capitis, which is very deep, you can say just superficial to the suboccipital level. So these are one of the deepest and they have very low movement arm. So because they have very low movement arm, they produce compression and stability in the cervical spine, along with lateral flexion on unilateral activation. Okay, so now let's quickly summarize the topic. We have the trapezius and levator scapulae, which are comparatively superficial muscles. Trapezius causes lateral flexion, rotation and extension in the head, whereas the levator scapulae, its main function is to create that posterior shear force to counterbalance your function of the gravity. And we also discussed why you shouldn't stretch the levator scapulae in forward head posture. Then we also saw the suboccipital muscles, whose function is to fine-tune the movements in the cervical region. Then we moved on to the splenius capitis cervicis, semispinalis capitis cervicis and longissimus. Longissimus being the most deepest muscle with very less movement arm, which has the function of stability. Whereas if we go little bit higher, the semispinalis capitis and cervicis is placed in optimal position where it has function of both movement as well as stability. And as we go even higher, splenius capitis, it is more of a prime mover of head and neck because of its larger moment arm, right? So with that, we finish off this topic. That's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like my video, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also like the video, as it really helps me out. Also let me know in the comment section what other videos you would like me to cover. And see you soon in the next video.